right, so we'll begin seated in a simple cross-legged position. And exactly, if you feel like you're sort of rounding and slouching through the spine, this is when you want to grab a pillow, blanket, bolster, and just sit up on that to sort of gently tilt the pelvis forward. And so today we're going to work on sort of our proportions and just how our body moves and understand a little bit where we feel tension and where we maybe feel compression. So what is the difference of these two things? Tension is where we reach our maximum, but it's due to sort of tight muscles, okay? So there's the ability to go further. Compression is where we meet actual bone on bone, and that's just sort of the limit of where our bodies can go. So we're gonna do different exercises to see if we can notice, right, and gain awareness of our body. Are we feeling tension? Are we feeling compression? And just noticing sort of our range of movement now, okay? So we're going to begin sort of at the top of the body and work down, but first let's just take a minute, close the eyes. Feel the sit bones ground down. With the next inhale, really feel the spine lengthen, creating space, growing up towards the ceiling. Exhaling, softening the shoulders down. Just begin to follow your natural inhales and exhales. Connecting to the natural ebb and flow of your breath. Letting the gaze turn inwards. Taking a nice long inhale in through the nose. Loud audible exhale out through the mouth. Closing the lips. Slowly opening the eyes. Good. So we're going to begin with the neck, so the top of the spine. So first we'll begin, the neck can move in many different directions. So first we're going to begin with the neck forwards and backwards. So I want you guys to make these movements fluid. You can even close the eyes. You can watch me for one round and then you can kind of do your thing. So when we come forwards, we're really trying to tuck the chin to the chest. And most likely when you do this, so we want to try not to round. So we really just want the movement right here in the neck. And when you do this, just notice if you're feeling something back here in the neck, right? It's probably tension we're feeling. And then when you lift the head back, you can let the head fall backwards. And also here, for example, when I do that, I feel a lot in the front of my neck, right? So generally when we feel the sensation on the opposite side of where we're moving, this means it's tension. And so generally, most of the time when we stop, it's because of tension. It's not necessarily bone on bone, but we will do some exercises where I will show you what that bone on bone compression feels like. So just to take a few moments now, sort of gently letting the head fall forward. Maybe pausing for a few moments, noticing where you feel the tension in the back of the neck. Seeing if we can move the breath there with awareness. Exhaling. And just taking your time in both positions. Exploring. Maybe noticing even some new muscles that we haven't given attention to for a while. Breathing, using the breath to breathe wherever we feel the tension. And using the exhales to relax and release. After the next round, moving the head back to center. This time we're going to go lateral side to side. So inhale, reach up through the crown. So we always want to use this center to really reach and lengthen. And on the exhale, let the ear drop down towards the shoulder, whichever ear to whichever shoulder. Try not to lift the shoulder up towards the ear, so keep the shoulder nice and relaxed. And here we're most likely all feeling tension in the opposite side. So just notice where you feel that. And when you feel ready, you can move the neck back up through center. And you can let the ear drop down to the other side. And if you want, you can really close the eyes. Let yourself go inwards. Noticing the sensations, using the breath to breathe to the spots with awareness. And seeing if we can relax and release the tension a little bit with the exhales. I find every time I do anything with the neck, how much stress and tension I hold in this area. So if you're noticing that, or maybe you're not, maybe your neck in this is very open, that's amazing too. So just notice whatever it is you feel in this area. One more time each side. And coming back to center. So now the neck can also go as if we're looking. So now we're going to start getting a little bit of a twist sensation. So you can just gently begin to bring your gaze left and right. Noticing if both sides feel the same. Noticing if you think you feel tension or compression. And notice where you feel that tension. Where do you feel the stretch start to pull? Going inwards. Gentle movements warming up the neck. Good. All right, now we're just going to do a little thing with proportion. So we're going to bring the legs out in front of us. Give your legs a nice little stretch out, kick them out. They were sitting cross-legged for a little bit. And so we'll keep the legs out in front of us. And what you're going to try to do is you're going to see if the palms touch the floor. So for example, you can see my hands. My hands do not touch the floor. Maybe, your arms are a little bit longer and you're able to really press into the ground. So the goal isn't to press into the ground, right? We're just looking at our proportions. How is the length of our arms to our body? So this is one of them. And this is really more important with yoga for if we're going to be doing arm balances and balancing on our hands. So we're not necessarily going to be doing that, but it's just interesting to know. And then the next thing I want you to do is you're going to bend up one leg. So bend one knee coming up, the base of the foot on the floor, and you're going to stick your other arm out. And I want you to see if this arm touches the knee. So for example, my arm does not touch my knee. So why is this important? Because when it comes to twisting the spine, right? So if I'm gonna twist over this knee, lots of times people say bring the elbow over. Right? So if I bring my elbow, what happens to me? I have to bend my back, right? And we do not want to be bending our backs when we twist. So if your hand does not touch the knee, what you need to do is just reach around with your hand and use your hand and arm to support the twist. Okay, so we're going to do that right now. We're going to twist the whole back. So just keep whatever knee you have up. Let that hand come behind the back and then bring your other hand across. If this arm was touching the knee, let's say like this, then you can feel free to bring the elbow across. So mine was not, so I'm going to use my hand to press down. And we really want to lengthen, so keeping the spine erect. And then on the exhale, we're going to twist from the lower section of the spine. Inhale, lengthen through the crown. exhale, twist through the middle section of the spine, maybe bringing that back shoulder back a little bit more. One more breath. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist back again with the neck, just like we did before, looking back. And then exhale, release. Letting that leg come forward, maybe shaking out the legs a little bit. Bending the other knee upwards. Bring that hand behind the back. Show from the front. And then if your body proportion allowed, you can bring that elbow over. Otherwise, just let the hand come over that thigh. We inhale, we ground down. Exhale, begin twisting from the spine. So use that awareness. Just twist from the lower back. Inhale, reach up through the crown again. Exhale, twisting back with the midsection of the spine. Last time, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bringing that gaze back over the shoulder. And gently release. Good. Give the legs a little shake out. And then we will slowly come to standing up. Excellent. So now we're going to do a little bit more with the spine. So we started with the neck. Now we're working down. We've already twisted out the spine. So let's first start with our base, our feet. So what is important about the feet? When you look down at the feet, you want, if you were to draw a line between the second and third toe, you would want that line to come straight up your legs. So look down at your feet and make sure that that is where the proportion is, okay? So anytime we come into mountain pose, which is sort of, this is our base pose for everything, almost everything, most standing postures in yoga. So first we start with the feet. And then what we're gonna do with the legs is feel this wrapping of the muscle. So really have this sensation of hugging the muscle onto the bone. Okay, so legs, shins, calves, everything is pulling inwards. Then we get to our core. So this is where we really put on these corset muscles, where we're putting on those tight pairs of pants and we're laying down on the bed and we're really, wiggling to get those pants in there. This is where everything is working. You even feel the pelvic floor a little bit helping and lifting from below. So we're lifting, we're hugging in. Let the shoulders just drop down, let the arms relax by the side, and push up through the crown of the head. And close the eyes. This seems like such a simple pose, but this is such a powerful pose. And what I want you to do now is really press down into the feet. Press down. The more you press down, this is actually helping to extend the spine and feel yourself lengthen. Press down. The more you press down, the more energy you have coming from the earth. Just close your eyes. Don't forget to breathe in all of this. And open your eyes and just let the body go a little bit. Kick it out, kick it out. And so what I want you to notice now is generally we tend to obviously not have good posture like that most of the day, right? So generally what tends to happen, we either have two sort of bad posture ways. So we either have where the pelvis tilts forward. So this is what I tend to do, where I really fall into my lower back and I'm sort of hanging off these ligaments and my chest is coming forward. So we either tend to do this, or we tend to tuck the pelvis and sort of the shoulders round, which this can happen a lot in postpartum because we're doing so much of feeding baby, holding baby, where this kind of just becomes the new norm. So just notice what you tend to do. Do you tend to sort of be like this or this? And once we can become aware of this, a great way to just really snap back in, especially I notice when I have bad posture because my back hurts. So then I tap back in, core, and press up through the crown. And see, so if I'm just being lazy, you'll see it right now. So I'm just being like, this is probably like my stance. If I do core and press up I mean, it was very subtle, but you could totally see how my posture changed. So mountain pose, practice this all the time. When you're in the kitchen, when you have a little break from baby, after you're done doing your dishes, mountain. Get your body back into its correct alignment. All right, so now from our mountain pose, we're gonna inhale and reach our arms out and up. So relax the shoulders down, let the hands be up. Maybe we can bring the palms together. And then we're gonna hinge over to the right. So we're not gonna have to go so far. Keep hugging on, so keep using these core muscles, and then just let that right hand drop down to the thigh. Keep this left shoulder back, and breathe into the left side of the body. Breathing into that left rib cage. So here as well, this is tension because technically we can keep going, don't go, but just to show you. So pause to where you feel a little resistance, just notice that resistance. Inhale, keep hugging in through the core. We're gonna lift back up through center. Now we're gonna go the other way. Exhale, hinge over to the left. Let that left hand drop. So we're just sort of making a little C. Keep grounding down equally through both feet. Breathe into the right side of the body and feel. You'll feel on the side. Just notice where you're feeling the tension and tightness, breathing there. Then inhale, come up. And now we're gonna come into a forward fold. So when we fold forward, I'm just gonna show you with my hips. It's important that we tilt that pelvis forward, okay? So put your hands on your hips. Tilt your pelvis, tilt it with your hands, feel that happen, and then begin to go forward. And bend the knees if you want. If you're feeling tension in the hamstrings, bend the knees to let yourself come forward. And you can bend them as much as you want to let the head come down towards the mat, and the hands can come down on the floor. Just take a couple of breaths here and just really feel in the pelvis how the sit bones are widening when we forward fold. And what do you feel with the thighs? The thighs are actually internally rotating and the shins are pressing out. So just see if you can notice that within your legs. The thighs are internally rotating, shins are pressing out. Sit bones are wide and spread. One more breath. Good. Very slowly bend the knees. You can bring the hands to the hips. Taking your time, roll the spine up. No quick movements. Coming back into our mountain pose. Good. Now we're going to go the other way. We're going to back bend. So Diana, don't back bend. You can just maybe look up and work on the neck. So we're gonna inhale, lift our hands back up, maybe the palms touch. Now when we back bend, we do the opposite thing with the hips. So the pelvis doesn't tilt forward, but the pelvis actually tucks under. And when you tuck the pelvis under, what do you feel? The thighs externally rotate and the inner shins are pressing in towards each other. So we feel that with the legs. Then we can begin to drop the head back and keeping the chest lifted, maybe we begin to back bend. So we don't have to go super far to feel the effect and to feel what's going on in the body. So just taking a few breaths here. And then inhale, coming back up. Slowly release the arms down. Good. Now we'll just give ourselves a little kick, shake it out, shake it out. Wiggle it out. Okay. Now we're going to do one more thing with the arms. So this, we've been moving our arms sort of out to the sides. What we're gonna do now is palms are gonna face backwards. So the front part will stay forwards. And we're just going to lift our arms forward and up. Reaching back as far as we can go. So maybe the reason that I do this one is because we reach the arms forward and up. And this is an important one because lots of people here will have compression. You'll feel compression, bone on bone back here. And so just notice, if you're feeling a lot of this, here in the front, then it's most likely tension. And this can definitely be for moms. We have so much tension in the beginning. So most of us, we're gonna be feeling tension. So notice pressing back, because eventually we'll get to the point where this is bone on bone. Keep hugging in through the muscles. Use the core muscles, so we don't want to back bend while we do it. We want to make sure it's the arms doing it. One more breath, and then exhale, slowly lower down. Good. Now we'll come back down to a seated position. And good. So we'll bring the left leg forward. The right leg's gonna come out to the side, so almost at about like an L shape, a 90-degree angle, and the knee will be up. And you can just rest the hands behind you. And from here, we're just gonna internally rotate and externally rotate the leg. So we're just gonna let the knee sort of drop down. In this, you'll feel the internal rotation of the thigh. And then we'll bring the foot back up, and then let the knee fall back, external rotation. And here, maybe you'll feel some tension in the inner thigh. So just take a few things like this. And if the knee doesn't come all the way down to the mat, that's fine as well, right? That's just where your body is. And notice, is it the tension? Compression. And remember, we feel the tension in the opposite side. So see, when we come back, our knee is going back that way. So if we feel tension, if we feel something here, it's tension. If you feel on the outside, that would be bone on bone. So just taking this a few more times, really feeling how this internal and external rotation feels within the hip joint. One more time each direction. And then we'll switch sides. So let the right leg come out, maybe give yourself a little shake. And then we're gonna bend that left knee up, making an L, and just let the hands come behind you. So we're not really having to do anything with the upper body. We're really just resting into the hands. And then on the exhale, let that left knee come down. So internally rotating the thigh. Let the knee come back up. And externally rotate, letting the knee come down towards the ground, feeling the tension on the inside. Just noticing if the knee only comes to here, right? If the leg only goes to here, just notice, are you feeling some tension? Are you feeling the muscles tighten? And just exploring, right? This is what we're doing in this course. We're getting curious. We're understanding our bodies. We're understanding how our unique bodies work and move. One more time in each direction. And then we'll release that left foot back out front again. Give the legs a nice little shake. And now we're gonna do that forward fold one more time. So remove any maybe of the flesh out from under the sit bones. Let the legs be straight. I'm gonna turn sideways so you can see me from the side. Now, so when we said we forward fold, the first thing is the pelvis tilts forward. So tilt the pelvis, feel the sit bones move sort of behind you. And if you need to bend the knees because hamstrings are super tight, just bend the knees. No problem. All right, and then as you begin to fold forward, I want you to really feel that internal rotation of the thighs. So feel how those thighs are turning inwards and the shins are pressing outwards. So this is how we activate. You activate the thighs rolling in, the sit bones are flaring out, and the shins are flaring out. And you can even hug in through the midline. So activate that core. Use the core to pull in, and you can probably fold a little bit more. Next, inhale, lifting back up. Wiggle out the knees, wiggle out the knees. And right, especially in postpartum, if you're feeling lots of tension, it's completely normal. Always, there's always lots of tension. And right, tension isn't good or bad. It's not, don't think like, oh, I can't keep my legs straight. It doesn't matter, right? Because the movements are helping the body. The movements help mobility, and all of this stuff takes time. But so it's really about gaining that awareness of where you are and how to move the body properly in your unique body to help you regain mobility. All right, so now we're gonna come down to the mat. So we're gonna bend the knees up and just let yourself come down. We're gonna keep the balls of the feet on the floor, knees lifted. And we're gonna just do the same thing again with the pelvic tilt, so we can really feel how the pelvis moves and how that's sort of connected with the thigh bones. So you can even put your hands on your hips here, or better yet, on the pelvis, not necessarily the hips. And tilt the pelvis forward. So when you tilt, that's gonna mean that the lower back is going to pop away from the mat. So you're gonna have a nice big sort of space between the mat. And when you do that, feel that internal rotation of the thighs, feel the sit bones widening. And now we're gonna do the opposite. You're going to tuck the pelvis. So you're gonna really feel the lumbar spine, the lower section of the spine, that's going to press against the mat. And feel how you can feel the thighs externally rotating. So just do that a few times. Rock the pelvis back and forth. Feel these subtle internal shifts of the muscles working, of the bones moving. Really just become aware of how your body works. I mean, these simple movements can sometimes be so just amazing, kind of the first time you do this, and you really gain awareness of how everything is connected and how everything subtly shifts and how everything is just really all connecting and functioning to keep us going. So just doing this one more time. And then after you tuck, you can just let the spine come back to neutral. So just relax, let the body come out, let the palms face up, let the shoulders relax into the mat. We'll keep the knees lifted. We're not going to do a full Shavasana. So now feel free to reach the arms up overhead to give yourself a stretch. And maybe you just want to let the knees sort of windshield wiper and fall side to side. And right when we're doing this windshield wipering, what are we doing? One leg is externally, or not leg, the hip. One is externally rotating, one is internally rotating. And then when we go the opposite way, it's the opposite. Right? So our body is constantly doing all of these movements all of the time. And then when you're feeling ready, let the body roll over onto one side with the knees bent in our fetal position, just taking a couple of breaths. And then slowly pressing yourself back up into a comfortable seated position. So that was the yoga tutorial for today. I hope it was informative. I hope you learned a lot about your body and just sort of how your body is moving and where you're feeling tension. And like I always say, don't judge that tension, right? We all have tension, right? It's just, it's the same tension, but it's just some bodies, you know, the more you practice it, the more you'll be able to release it and the further the body will go. I did forget one exercise find for the compression though, which is in the ankle. So I will show that really quick. So with the ankle, we'll just do this really quick. Is just start to bend the knees if you're gonna squat. So for example, this is compression for me, because if I go any further, my heels start to lift. So I actually do not have a lot of, or like my bone on bone is quite, I can't go very far. Lots of people can go much farther than this. I'm sure you can go farther than what I'm looking at. So just notice, this is a great exercise where you can really feel and notice where that compression is, because when the heels lift, that's because I'm on bone. My ankle will never be able to do more than this. So that's a great way so you can really feel kind of what that compression is versus the tension, because I know probably most of this class we were just feeling tension. All right, thank you.